All right.
All right.
Hi, folks. I'm DB.
And I'm Steve.
Welcome to the DB and Steve show. Uh, Steve's been out for a little bit. He's been a little sick, like I said before. But he is back now, and we are back
Cheers
up
all.
and running. Uh, so we've had the conference championship. That was about 2 weeks ago. It didn't pan out very well for my 49ers.
Or the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, Dallas Cowboys weren't in the conference final. They were in the
But
divisional
still.
rounds. They lost
But
to the
still.
Niners, but still, they lost to the Niners. All right, the Niners had a better team. All right, and I do believe and I stand by that the Niners would have beaten the Eagles if we had a quarterback.
Come on, Brock Purdy. He
Brock Purdy did fucking awesome. All right,
did
in
amazing.
the whole second half we did not have a quarterback. We could not throw the ball. The man made 2 attempts. He completed those 2 attempts for 4 yards.
All right, so hold on. Pause right there. Pause right there. So is that Brock Purdy's problem or is that Shanahan's problem for not doing more running plays or passing plays?
Couldn't do any passing plays. Brock Purdy tore his UCL. Couldn't throw the ball. His right UCL. What? So okay, Josh Johnson goes out with into the concussion protocol. The guy with the torn UCL in his throwing arm. That's Tommy John and everything else. So you can't even throw right. He couldn't throw past 10 yards.
Hey, if it was hockey, they would have played without an eye.
They would have played without an eye. But you don't have you don't have to throw a hockey puck. All right, that's a whole different sport. That's a whole different mentality. All right, look at the Bruins.
All right, so if that's the case, now that's their third QB, or is that their second QB?
That was
Brock Purdy.
their third QB, and then losing the fourth, Josh Johnson. They lost 4 QBs in 1 year.
So do you keep Purdy? And I saw a news article that a
He's get
lot of the team wants Purdy to remain the starting QB next year.
Well, it's going to be a competition. It's going to be an open competition. There's no way that they can't let Trey Lance try to compete for the job. But
But what about
it
Garoppolo?
really Garoppolo isn't on the roster. Garoppolo becomes a free agent at the end of after the Super Bowl, and every pretty much once the fiscal NFL year is over, Garoppolo is a free agent. He has no ties to the 49ers after this year. He has no money coming to him or anything like that. His contract is done.
Let me ask you a question, and I've noticed it more this year than any other year that I can remember. So the Super Bowl hasn't even happened yet, but it doesn't seem like most of the news is on the Super Bowl. Most of the news is on the drama, not the drama, but the drama that's happening with all the QBs between Derek Carr, Tom Brady retiring, you got Garoppolo, you got all these things that are happening. Sean Payton is coming back to the Broncos, kicking
Yep.
out, personal training for Russell Wilson. All these things are happening, and nobody, in my mind, are really focusing on the Kansas City Chiefs and the Eagles. Is that because it's those two teams? Where if it was different teams,
No,
there'd be
well,
more publicity?
that should be talked a lot about. It should be talked about more, just because it is the first time that two black quarterbacks will actually be starting for the opposing teams against each other in the Super Bowl. Granted, not the first black quarterbacks, because there have definitely been other black quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. That was 35 years ago, a long
But
time.
it just doesn't seem like there's enough coverage on the Super Bowl. Now, I don't watch like the regular TV and stuff that I'm sure, back in the day when there's no Netflix or Hulu or any of that, everyone's just watching the sports channel, the ESPNs, the NBC, ABC, and like they're really getting the Super Bowl into you and getting ready. But recently, it just doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal.
Well, really like it's just how most people are looking at it. The Eagles, like, even though the Eagles are favored, and don't get me wrong, like, that's cool that they're favored and all that happy, fun, jazzy stuff. I really think the Eagles have not seen anything worth of competition. Because again, all right, let's put it this way: even with the Eagles having an actual full roster against the 49ers, they had only 25. They had 25 first downs. They had a total of 269 yards, and passing was 121.
And
That
that's nothing.
that's nothing to a
That's nothing.
team where they had literally dominated time of possession and everything. They had the ball for 30 over 37 minutes, and they still only came up with 31 points. So that defense held them. That defense, if they weren't out there that long and the offense could actually have done something other than run the ball because couldn't throw the ball, it would have been a different outcome. You really they did, and they played the Giants first before they played the 49ers. So they played the Giants, who really shouldn't have been the in the dance anyways because they weren't that good. They
So
they, they really weren't. And
in
then
your
they
opinion, is it you truly believe that if you had a healthy QB,
if we had a full healthy QB, yeah,
now Brock Purdy, or if you had Garoppolo, which one would you rather have
Brock
healthy?
Purdy.
You'd rather have him.
I would rather have Brock Purdy. That boy has shown more poise in the 8 games that he played than I've seen in most rookie quarterbacks.
So you think that the QB, obviously, that's your captain, that's your
Well,
paid
everything
person.
rotates around the QB nowadays in the NFL. It's a QB driven league.
So did the Kansas City Chiefs make it because of Mahomes? Did the Eagles make it because of Jalen Hurts? Or is it because just the system worked?
Well, for the Eagles, it was the system. The system worked. It wasn't just Jalen Hurts. Like, granted, they didn't really win without Jalen Hurts, and they kind of need Jalen Hurts
But
to
he's not the
make that
problem.
system run because they already saw what happened when they put the backup in. They lost
So
those 2 games.
if Mahomes was on Buffalo, do you think Buffalo would be in and not?
Oh God, Buffalo would definitely be a more of a powerhouse. I think Mahomes is a better quarterback than Josh Allen is.
You think so? Really? Just consistency wise, or
Well, Ablett, like Josh Allen's a bigger quarterback. He's more of that Ben Roethlisberger type quarterback. He's going to be able to stay in the pocket. Yes, he can move, and yes, he can run and everything else. But he can stay in that pocket longer. He can take that hit. Where Mahomes is more of that. He's gonna scramble around. He's gonna let his team do what they do best on broken plays. They're gonna get open for him, and he gets enough time for them with his scrambling and with how he throws the ball and how he's able to manipulate his arm angle when he's throwing to get plays off. It's same where it's they say where it's with Jalen Hurts, but Jalen Hurts hasn't gotten to that. Like he doesn't make those throws that you're like, oh wow, like nobody else could do that. Mahomes, he makes some throws and you're like, I want to see somebody else do that because I don't think anybody else can.
yeah, it may sound weird, but to your point, I think that Mahomes is precise, but Jalen Hurts is accurate. He can get it in the area every time.
He can get it
Mahomes
into the area every time, but
can
Mahomes
get it
is
in a foot by foot every single time.
I've seen Hurts overthrow his targets too. So it happens to every quarterback. You're gonna have your off throws. You're gonna have your on throws. But for the most part, Jalen Hurts, he's got that precision. But he also has that chip on his shoulder. He's out to prove people wrong. Because when he first came into the NFL or to the combine, they were actually talking him about maybe possibly changing from quarterback to wide receiver And he
Correct.
just told from the beginning that he is a quarterback. When he thinks about football, he doesn't think about playing wide receiver. Thinks about being a quarterback.
And he proved them wrong.
Oh,
And
he definitely has.
so,
But again, I still take it as luck because they've proven that they can hold him. Like it's not like he had an absolute fantastic game against the Niners. He really didn't have a spectacular game.
but it takes one game. I mean, again, unlike hockey and baseball
It
and
only
even
takes. That's why there's no series. It's
no
like it's
series.
one or done. It's you either win or you go home, and
And I
that's just kind of
understand
like
that.
how it is.
Well, yeah, football is a very difficult sport because of the injuries.
Oh, because of the injuries, because of like the actual toll that it puts on your body and having to prepare to get your body manhandled week in and week out. That's why they have the 1 week bye where you don't play for a week.
So do you don't think that even a 3-game series
A three
would
game
be
series, it wouldn't be able to be feasible because you'd have to take an entire month to almost cover that. You wouldn't be able to. I
so?
grant that it's so like because we need more football throughout the ages, but that you also have now the USFL and now the XFL coming back. So those are in that spring kind of like time lot. So there's pretty much going to be football all year round.
Yeah, which is going to be nice, and I hope the XFL does succeed. But we'll get into that on a in a different episode.
In a different show,
Different
but
episode. But I do have a couple questions for you. Um, I do want to get back to the Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Eagles because
yep.
that's coming up this weekend. But before that, again, I'm kind of into the drama this year for QBs. So Russell Wilson, rated one of the best QBs of all time. He's
Oh, he
definitely a Hall
sucked
of
this year.
Famer.
He
He
sucked
was
this year.
terrible this year.
He was absolutely terrible this year. Peyton can
And
fix
again,
it.
is that based on him or the system? And
I say it's a
hold on to
little
that
bit
thought.
of both.
Hold on to that thought because you know me, I'm a Raiders fan. So Derek Carr's my guy. And for
Who
all the crap that he's taken at Raiders, I'm on his side. I think that, he should stay. Obviously, he's not. He's
he's
going to be
not
going
going to stay
elsewhere.
because they're not going to pay him $40 million to sit on the
Correct.
bench.
He's probably heading to the Saints. But if you noticed, he won the accuracy competition at the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, he did.
And just it just makes me realize that Mark Davis may be overlooking something special. He
Yeah.
put in a new coach that I don't think was prepared for the position he was placed. We're still building the team. But all this to say, and I'm biased because I'm a Raiders fan, but
You're not a
the
fan of
QB
McDaniels?
the QB takes the brunt of the
Oh, you win. If the
skepticism.
QB gets all the praise, you lose. The QB gets all the negativity. It's kind of, but again, it's a QB driven league.
Well,
It's
I think that's
unfortunate, but that's just how it is.
I think that's bullshit because if you're building a team, and it's not just the Raiders, you have a lot of teams that just regrettably aren't good. And it's
Yeah.
not so much that the teams are bad, or sorry, that the QBs are bad. It's just the system doesn't work against better teams. And so now you have a guy that can throw 3, 4 touchdowns every game consistently, but you lose every game because your defense can't hold off the other offense. To me, that's not a QB problem.
No,
That's a defense problem.
that's the defense problem. But when the QB is all frustrated and you think you need to find that spark of something else that they're gonna move on just because, like I said, it's that $40 million tag that's on him next year. They do not want to pay $40 million to watch him sit on the bench because I
Who was
don't because I just he doesn't fit McDaniel's scheme. That
But
that's the whole issue you're having there right now. McDaniel's, his scheme doesn't work with Derek Carr.
Well, McDaniel's scheme, in my opinion, doesn't work in general. I mean, we saw what he did in the Broncos years past, and that didn't last too long. As offense coordinator of the Patriots, yeah, he was successful, but it wasn't his team. It wasn't his system. It
No,
was Belichick,
that was Belichick's system. Like we
and he
gotta
had Tom
understand.
Brady on it, the best quarterback. As much as that pains me to say, the best quarterback of all time.
Yeah, he's a good quarterback. I'll give him that.
um,
He
so
still lost some Super Bowls, so he's not perfect.
So you have Russell Wilson, you have Watson for the Browns that came back, and he was underwhelming.
Yep.
Um, which again, he had his
He
difficult.
had a lot of like sidetracking of personal issues, which carried into football, which probably
Correct,
didn't help him at that point.
but he was definitely underwhelming for the amount of
Money they shelled
coverage
out for
and
him.
media that he got
Oh,
for going there.
oh yeah.
And then who was the quarterback for the Bears?
The Bears.
The Bears. Because he was phenomenal this year. Absolutely phenomenal. Now, the team didn't make the playoffs, and this goes back to my point that the QB could be amazing, but the team doesn't do well, but the QB takes the brunt of the negativity.
Yeah, it's kind of like I said, it's usually how it works. Without the QB, oh, you mean Justin Fields?
Yeah, Justin Fields was amazing this year. He could run it. He's got the full package.
Oh
If
yeah,
he
well, he was he's got the same thing going for him that CJ Stroud's got going for him coming into this NFL draft. They play
Yeah.
for Ohio State. Ohio State runs a pro scheme offense.
Do you see me twitching? Do you see me twitching?
Twitching.
The OSU, not a fan of, but they do produce some of the best players
Well,
in
like
the
I
country.
said, they run a pro scheme.
Yeah.
So since they run a pro scheme, their players are more tuned and are getting prepped for the NFL. So they have an easier transition from college to pro
Now we're
than
not going to get
other people.
we're not going to get into college football too much, but I do have one question because it relates to the NFL. You got John Harbaugh,
Yeah.
who's the coach of the Michigan Wolverines. Now he was the 49ers coach,
Yes, he
right?
was. He was 49ers coach during Kaepernick time.
So he went to Michigan. Now Michigan, the first few years that he was there, they were awful. They were just
Well, it was him
terrible.
reshaping and everything else, the culture and everything else. It took a little bit for him to
Now,
get everything back into groove.
correct. And now they're in the top 4 to 6. I mean, they were in the top 4 this year,
Oh yeah.
uh, bringing the professional scheme to college. Um, and sometimes it works. I mean, clearly it worked for Michigan. And
Some
I'm just
schools it
wondering,
works for, some schools it doesn't. You Most of the schools that run pro schemes and stuff like that are the higher Division 1A schools that are like Alabama, Clemson,
Michigan,
LSU, Michigan,
OSU, yeah.
and Baylor, I do believe, runs a pro scheme, and I do believe so does.
Well, so did Penn State because they had
Penn State,
O'Brien
Notre
before
Dame
he went.
did too for a
Yeah.
little while. I'm not sure if they're still running pro, but they were for a little while.
Yeah. But speaking of Harborough, he had again some off field issues, and he was actually looking to go to, I believe it was the Broncos. And so he had some talks, but right now it seems, and I don't know, you probably know by now, is Sean Payton official for the Broncos? Was he hired?
Yes, he was hired for the pay.
So
He was
he is now the head coach. They had to he retired, I thought, from the
hired.
Saints.
Well, he took time off from the Saints. The Saints let him go, let him like he's technically they still had to work out the final logistics. He's technically still on their books until the end of next year.
Really.
Yeah. His
Uh,
contract was until 2020 at the end of the 2023 season.
Now it could be because he had Drew Brees again, who's one of the best QBs in this era.
He made Drew Brees. Drew Brees was nothing until he went to the Saints.
All right, so now do you have a guy that goes to
He will fix Russell Wilson. He's already made an impact on what's happening there and everything else. Because Russell Wilson, when he first got there this entire year, had his own personal QB coach.
yeah,
Sean
and then he had
Payton
to
went
make
in,
an
and Sean Payton was like, is he on our facilities team? No, then he's not in the thing. That will be gone, and is gone.
Well, it's going to be a huge shakeup. You got Sean Payton back. He's going. He's going to work with Russell Wilson. You got Aaron Rodgers potentially jumping ship from Green Bay, going to the Raiders to get back with his wide receiver, Vontae Adams. And, you know, they have magic together. Now, granted, uh,
I do,
Aaron Rodgers is kind of
but
getting.
you guys have no offensive line. You guys have no offensive line. How are you supposed to protect him? All right, that was the big problem with Derek Carr.
I know he
All
was the
right,
most
that
stacked
was not
QB.
all of his fault, but some of that problem was his line. They don't
But
got one.
the benefits of having like an Aaron Rodgers is that he's been in the game so long, is that he knows when there's going to be a blitz. He knows exactly where to go.
Derek
He's
Carr's been
good in
in
the
the league for
pocket,
like what, 10 years now?
if not more.
I do believe it's like 8 or 10 years.
It's something about Green Bay, and I find it funny because Green Bay always has the longevity of their QBs. I mean, you had Brett Favre for however many years.
Oh yeah.
You had Aaron Rodgers for however many years, and whoever is going to be the QB after Aaron Rodgers is going to have to be there for many years to continue the streak. Because they build based off the QB. They build the team around the QB. They don't build the QB around the team. That's just been their system and has worked for the last two QBs. I mean, Brett Favre, again, as we know, just before Tom Brady broke every record ever, pretty much. And then Aaron Rodgers is again a Hall of Fame QB that has been one of the best in this era.
Only has one Super Bowl title though.
Still has a Super Bowl title.
Only has one though.
Still
I
has
know.
it though.
He still has it, but only has
Still
one.
has it.
Like that's where most people like you're in the same era as Tom Brady. How many Super Bowls you have? Only one. Oh yeah, I forgot. Tom Brady has the rest of
He only
them.
got 7. That's not a big deal.
He's only got 7. He's got more than most teams.
Yeah.
All right, the man's got more Super Bowl rings than most teams.
Yes.
Unfortunately for most people, like he's even got more than the Patriots.
Well, I was kind of there was a lot of underdogs this year that I was kind of looking for. Like mid-season, I was really excited to see some underdogs. Tua with the Dolphins looked really strong.
He looked
Uh,
really good until the concussions.
yep.
And
The Jets surprisingly looked really good until about halfway through the season. I thought they were going to make the playoffs. Like they only
yeah,
have like one
they
loss.
were doing good until Garrett Wilson kind of went haywire. That
Correct.
was their QB or whatever the hell their QB's name was. Like, 'cause I don't think it was Garrett Wilson because I think Garrett Wilson won the Rookie of the Year and that was a wide receiver. He was on the Jets too though, so like they were doing phenomenal. And you just named two teams that where those coaches come from. Come on.
Good.
They are both 49er coaches. Thank you very much. both of them, Shea and Josh Daniels.
Oh, Josh Daniels. That's right. That's right.
They are both 49ers coaches. Just like D'Amico Ryan going down to the Texans is a 49ers head coach. It was a 49ers coach.
The biggest surprise for me this year was the Chargers, to be honest with you. The fact that they didn't make the playoffs with the QB that they had, and the you had Allen and Robinson, I believe. Their team was stacked, and the fact that they didn't make the playoffs was quite disappointing.
They're, as far as I can remember, the Chargers just couldn't do anything on defense, and they couldn't keep their quarterback from hitting the ground.
Well, yeah, again, he's a thrower, and they kept trying to run the ball. And again, I don't know if that's a system or if that was just they,
Well, you have
that
to try. That's the whole thing. You can't do one more than the other. You kind of have to try to keep them balanced because if you do one thing more than the other, all you then have to do is shut down one, and then you're done.
yeah.
It's been proven. Once you can't do something else, once it's been proven that you can't say pass, you can't run. Oh, all you're doing is passing because you can't get the ball down the field because you can't run the ball. What do? You pin your ears back, you play man coverage, and you don't let anything open. And then what you're gonna have to beat is passing ball, and you can't run the ball. So you're able to drop 8 guys back and 7 guys back in coverage and rush 4 because you can't
Yeah,
run the ball.
correct.
Or if you can't pass the ball, you can take all your 7 guys in the backfield. You can rush everybody and do man to man on the outside. So you got 4 to 5 guys in coverage, and everybody else is
Yeah.
rushing the QB because they can't throw the ball. All they can do is run. So like when you have a limited scheme of what you're able and capable of doing, makes it easier or harder depending on what you're facing as a defense. Because if a defense can't predict, are you going to be running the ball? Are you going to be throwing the ball? They have to play you more upfront and fair. Where if they know this is pretty much all you're going to do for the rest of the game, you're able to pin your ears back and just cover that.
I'm going to say my pick right out of the bat is Philly. They have been dominant all year. They had a bye and they came back, and usually after a bye, you see some struggles, but no, they came in and they just
Oh, so you're taking
didn't
the
play.
Eagles for the Super Bowl. I think the Eagles are going to get waffle stomped.
You think
I don't
so?
think the Eagles have. I think the Eagles are going to go in there all high and mighty, thinking they're the fucking best shit in the world. And again, they had the easiest road to the Super Bowl.
It doesn't matter. They were the best team in the league consistently
No
throughout the
way. No
entire
way.
year.
No way. Our defense was better. 49ers defense was way better.
Defense, but
Consistently.
clearly not the offense.
Our offense was singing on all cylinders.
Until,
Until an injury. Oh my god! Till the guy severed a UCL. Oh my god! And couldn't throw the ball.
but that's the point. Is that unlike any? Okay, so Mahomes, as good as he is, he consistently seems to get hurt during a game. Not bad, like not that he's out of a game, but he always gets tweaked and injured some way or not because of just his style of game. There's a lot of blitz. He's good in the pocket, but he's always trying to run away. He gets kind of half tackled, and
It's going
when
to
he does,
rely on Hurts' arm. They're not going to be able to run the ball.
I'm sorry, what?
It's going to rely on Hurts' arm, and I don't think Hurts is going to have enough time, like they, to do it. Like they have a great run game and everything else like that, but I think it's going to come down to him trying to hurl the ball against Mahomes. because Mahomes is going to put them in a hole, and they're just going to have to start trying to throw the ball, and I don't think he's going to be able to do it.
So you got Kansas City.
I
I
got
got
Kansas
Philly.
City, and I really don't want to. I would rather both of them lose. All right, I stand with
I agree.
I
I
stand with
agree.
my 49ers and everything else, Christian McCaffrey and everything like that. They asked him, "Who are you rooting for?" He's like, "I hope they fucking both lose."
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree because I don't want to see Philly win. I definitely don't want to see KC win because they're in the same division as the Raiders, and I'm happy that Mahomes won one
Yeah,
because he seems like a
he needs to
genuinely
win one.
good guy. But
But
no,
I don't think the Eagles will do it. I really don't think so because the Eagles have not been. What real competition? Really, that offense for the Giants was a real big steamroller for them. They really had a hard time with that game. And
who's
then
gonna make? Sorry,
again, they get 49ers lose both quarterbacks before the first half.
I agree. And trust me,
All right.
I
And
was rooting for the 49ers. I
the
wanted them to
49ers would have beaten the Eagles. And granted, yes, and we're still like that. More people are more worried about what the Eagles and the 49ers did than what's happening right now with the Eagles and the Chiefs. And I give the Eagles all the credit in the world, but I just don't think they can do
I was rooting for the Bills at that point. I was rooting for the Bills. I'm not gonna lie.
it. You were rooting for the Bills. They played Cincinnati.
I know. And then I was
You
rooting
were
for.
rooting for neutral territory. You want to see the AFC title game in neutral territory because if
Yes,
the
I
Bills
did.
won, that's what would have happened.
I know. I wanted the Bills,
But
and
I
then I
think
wanted.
that was what the NFL shot themselves in the foot. I think that's what stopped Cincinnati. I think that's what pushed them to beating the Bills, is because they were pretty much like, "Oh, we're going to start selling tickets for the offsite game before the even game's kicked off."
And yeah, and then they screw themselves. Yeah, and then Cincinnati moved forward, and I was rooting for Cincinnati. This and I was telling my friends that we talk about, and pretty much every team that I wanted to win lost. And I said earlier on in the playoffs that the worst outcome would be Philly versus KC.
Yep.
And
But
my friends can attest to it. And it's not because they're bad teams or that it would be boring. It's just like it doesn't. I'm gonna watch the Super Bowl. I'm gonna have a good time, but I'm not excited for the game.
like I said, I'm not excited for the game. Like I definitely believe that the Chiefs will win. Chiefs fans have been better. Like they haven't fucked with the Rocky statue.
Yeah.
All right, because that's the one thing you don't do. You don't fuck with the Rocky statue. Unfortunately, every team that has so far fucked with the Rocky statue has lost that game
Yeah.
to the Eagles.
Are we going to see if the Eagles win? Are we going to see Kevin Hart running up to the podium to try to get the Lombardi trophy?
He can't get that. It's not his.
So, who's going to make a bigger impact in the Super Bowl? Which Kelsey brother is going to make the biggest impact?
uh,
So you got Travis
Probably.
Kelsey
Well,
and
Kelsey, for the Chiefs, he only needs one more touchdown pass to surpass Jerry Rice for most touchdown receptions in the Super Bowl or in the playoffs.
playoffs. Yeah,
Because Jerry Rice has 8, and I do believe Kelsey has 8 too now. He needs one
and
more
his
though to break it.
brother is
Is a lineman
for the
for
Eagles,
the
so
Eagles.
first time. So there's a lot of firsts here. You got the first time that you got two brothers facing each other. You got the first time that two African Americans are facing each other as QBs,
Yep.
and it's going to be the first time that an all women's pilots are going to be doing the flyover
Oh,
before
nice.
the game. Yeah, so all women's pilots team. So that's a lot of firsts in the Super Bowl, which is amazing. That we've
It's
come this far.
definitely amazing that like we've gotten this far with everything. Like it is. Like, but again, nobody's really like been like this is going to be it. But hey, it's going to be a good game. Hopefully, I could care less. Usually, the commercials are always what I watch for if my team's not playing.
So, for you, are you more of would you rather see a 3-0 game or like a 60-56 game? Would you rather see a defensive battle or an offensive battle?
I like a combined like kind of thing. What happened with the Cincinnati game and the Kansas City game wasn't kind of what it was more field goals. It was kind of let's stay in the middle of the field, back and forth, kick a field goal, back and forth, kick a field goal, up touchdown, kick a field goal, up touchdown for the other team, neck and neck. So it makes it interesting, but it makes it for a very very long game. And then when
It
you got the high scoring games, you're like, oh wow, there's a lot of points, but man, there's no defense. So I kind of like that middle ground
Well,
quarterback.
we're on to the kids now. We're on to the new generation. We got the Patrick Mahomes, we got the Jalen Hurts coming up this Sunday. I'm excited for the game. You got Kansas City, I got Philadelphia.
Oh yeah,
Let's see how it goes.
it should be a really good game.
Absolutely. So, to all of you, thank you for watching. Have a great time. Be safe out there after the Super Bowl, but enjoy the game, and you'll be hearing from us soon.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for watching,
All
and
right.
we'll catch you later. Paces.
See you.